Welcome to 44 and 1. This is Tempest and GVizzle. Today we're talking about an audiobook I just started listening to, one of which I'm barely even into. I think I'm on the third or fourth chapter, but the premise of this book is what intrigued me. So the book is called They Both Die at the End, spoiler alert, by Adam Silvera. And so it follows, and this is, we're not getting into the meat of the book, but it follows two characters, so Mateo and Rufus, both 18-year-olds. And a few years prior to when this happens, this company called Deathcast has begun, and they can predict people's deaths. So they call you on the morning of the day you're going to die, what they call the end day, between midnight and 3 a.m. You get a phone call saying, "Hi, this is GVizzle from Deathcast. Just wanted to let you know that within the next 24 hours, you will meet your untimely death. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. But here's some suggestions on how you can live your best day." And they have an app where you can connect with other people who are also, they call them deckers. So if it's your last day, you're a decker. So you can connect with other deckers so you can just share your last day together. So, which brings us here today. How would you, I'm leaving it open. How would you spend your last day? Would you want to live in a world where that happens? And it's so prevalent in this world that it's like built into TV shows and stuff. Like it's just a known thing. Deathcast has their own ringtone. So when you hear it, you're like, oh no.
What if it's a wrong number as well?
Well, the first, it starts where the two main characters named Mateo and Rufus, they don't know each other, but they're like 18 or on the cusp of their 18th birthday. And Mateo, when he gets a phone call, it's just after 1 o'clock in the morning, and he gets a phone call and they're asked for Timothy. And he's like, "I'm not Timothy." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, that was the last guy I was talking to. Sorry." So
Brilliant.
if you get the call by usually between midnight and 3 a.m., you will not make it past that midnight.
Wow.
Discuss.
Wow, so many questions. I mean, why the variability between the midnight and the 3? Is it because there's so many people to call?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because Rufus starts asking questions, and the guy's like, "Listen, buddy, I got a lot of phone calls to make. Like, I got."
Oh shit!
Like, there's only so much I can tell you. I got a lot of people to call, so they are making all the phone calls.
Sounds like quite a cool idea. Well, I mean, I almost feel like I'm obliged to say I'd get on the plane to Canada and come see my BFF, but you know, it's almost like I have to say that.
But you don't actually, because that would be the dumbest way to spend that day, because you would spend half of your time, or like a good chunk of your time, getting to the airport, sitting on a plane. That'd be a waste.
But can you imagine living the rest of your life, all those years that you might have left, unless you get a call tomorrow, and then you would have been able to meet me, and then you could have at least had 10 hours with me before I snuffed it.
This is kind of like, this is the same.
Yeah, I know, but it's not hanging out though, is it?
We're literally hanging out right now. Just because we're not in the same room doesn't mean we're not hanging out. We are literally hanging out right now.
No, I know what it is. It's because you have desires to kill me, and then if I actually, that would be the cause of my death, would be me.
Wouldn't that be, because I mean, it is a predictive thing.
Yeah,
so that could be the case. Like, we'll call him and tell him he'll go to Canada. She's going to murder him before he gets out of the airport parking lot. The prophecy has been fulfilled.
And that's what would happen. You just had too much of my shit. Insult my currency one more time.
It smells like maple and healthcare and freedom.
I can never find out though, can I, what it smells like? I just have to take everyone's word for it. Is there some sense of smell or no?
Very,
very vague. It's quite it's really bland, and it has to be a really strong smell. So,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. Well, like say, perfume just smells like alcohol and flowers. Food cooking just smells like meat. So
that's so sad.
It is, yeah. Oh, my life is so hard. You have no idea.
Although, if you were with a woman who is very flatulent,
it'd be fine.
What a
I can't smell farts.
That'd be amazing.
I can't smell my cat shit. Yeah.
To the story, back to the situation. So, before,
how would I spend my day?
Yeah, and we've talked before about, like, would you want to know? And now you don't have a choice. You know you've got 24 hours.
I mean, I have a lot of problems with this system they've got, but we can cover that later after the nice bits.
We're not talking logistics here. This is not a fact-finding mission. This is we're not troubleshooting. It's not a SWOT analysis.
I'm a healthcare researcher. I can't help it. Fact-finding missions are my life.
I'm here. 3. I will give you 3 questions. I don't know the answers to them because I'm not that deep into the book, but I'll make some shit up. What are your 3 questions?
How does the algorithm work? How do they predict it?
Don't know.
Okay.
I'll let you know when I find out.
I'll think of the other 2 as we go along. They might crop up.
Okay. So would you take advantage of the app that will connect you with someone else who's also on their end day?
No, fuck that. I don't want to take the risk of trying to find somebody that, like, on the off chance I'll get along with them, because there's not many people I get along well with. So, like,
so how would you spend your last day?
Well, since I can't find a candidate, you don't want to see me, so fuck that. Then I'll just.
I don't want to have like this dramatic movie moment where at the end of the day I have to like drop to my knees and be like, no.
You'll be fucking hilarious.
Here is what needs to happen. We set this up. So there is a website called deadmanswitch.net. And I'm going to read you what I have here. It's a tool that lets you send emails to your loved ones after you die. So you write a few emails and you choose the recipients, and then the emails are stored privately until they're sent. So what happens is the Deadman Switch the website emails you every so often, and you have to respond to say like, yep, still alive. And when you stop responding to the notifications, after your 60 days after your last check-in, they send out all of those emails because they've assumed that, like, if it's been 60 days and you haven't checked in, you have died, and all your emails get sent. So that, I'm new into the book, so I don't know if that comes up or if they've established that type of situation, but that is what you'd have to have in place.
Yeah.
Document all the emails, and there's a premium service where, like, I think the free service is maybe like 2 emails to 2 or messages to 2 recipients, but you can get like premium services for multiple recipients. You'd have to set that up so that you can like send those off to the people who are not as important in your life, and then spend your last X up to 24 hours with the important people.
Yeah.
Or more important people, or critical people, however you want to choose.
The correct people. Basically my cat. But yeah, how many emails do you reckon you'd get? That it would be, GVizzle, you're always a cunt, kind regards, enjoy the rest of your life because mine's ended.
That, I would frame that. That's perfect. That is the perfect goodbye email. I think that's perfection. But I think it's a neat service, and I just remembered it as we were talking, but I think that would align very nicely. It's still even though Deathcast doesn't exist, Deadman Switch does. So it's still a nice thought of like sending emails up, because there's probably, like, I'm sure a lot of people die with a lot of unfinished business because they think there's time. So this is deadmanswitch.net, not sponsored, but I think it's super cool, is a nice way of like tying up those loose ends, or like saying things that you wanted to say.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, because how many people do you hear about where someone's died and they're like, oh, they were never able to say this to me, or I could never say that to them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it would be, like, if you know it's going to happen, right? If you're going to unalive yourself, then you can set those things in motion. Or if you have a terminal illness, you can put those things in place. But no one, with the exception of Deathcast, can predict an accident. And that kind of sets you up for saying goodbye to everybody.
Actually, I'll tell you what, though, I think it would make society a lot more healthy if people actually spoke about this. Like the fact that because of the holy algorithm, we can't say the S word. We have to say unalive, and self-unaliving. It's like, fuck off. I don't want to say that. Everyone knows what we're saying, including ourselves. So we're all thinking it, but because the algorithm's so precious that we have...
It's not just the algorithm, because it's people who drive the algorithm, right?
Yeah,
and it's like that,
exactly.
that George Carlin bit where shell shock sounded scary. So then it became battle fatigue. It didn't sound so scary. And then it was like something else. And then it was post-traumatic stress syndrome. And now that a lot of people get post-traumatic stress from other things, it becomes a watered down version of it. So even though it's just as horrifying, it's not taken as seriously.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest failings we have in Western psychology, I think, and psychiatry, or just mental health in general, is that we do water these things down too much. People kind of join in on all these little things, and it's like they think they're talking about the same thing, but they're not. Like on TikTok, there's big trends about narcissists, and everyone's talking about narcissists. And it's like a very small fraction of them actually are.
Someone called me a narcissist in my comments, and I was like, are you... Tell me you don't know what a narcissist is without telling me. Like,
yeah,
their words have meanings, and that's what I think a lot of people forget. And it drives me, like, occasionally, like, my husband plays video games online, so occasionally I'll hear through like headphones other people talking, and like they'll use rape a lot for, like, you know, you just shot an imaginary character. It's like, you raped him. I was like, don't diminish the power of that word, because it means something, and some words need to continue to mean something. Like you used earlier, cunt. I love that that word still has the...
That's the power. Yeah.
It's a nut punch for anybody who... So the book that I finished earlier, the romance novel that I finished earlier, I was curious about the reviews on the book. And one of the women in the reviews said that she liked the book, except it used 3 C words that she hates. So because it used 3 C words that she hates, she had to downgrade her review of the book.
Oh, fuck off.
And
does she not understand that makes her a cunt?
The other 2, there 3 were, she didn't say them. She kind of like described them, so you knew what she meant. It was like cunt, cock, and cum. Those are the 3 she can't hear in a book. Yeah, and it's just kind of like...
They're kind of... can't think of the words, but fucking idiot. Like how you're reading a raunchy romance novel where there's fornication in those pages.
I bet she would prefer like throbbing member.
Yeah.
Or man seed instead of...
Moist loins.
I don't understand why so many people have a problem with the word moist.
You gotta just say it like, you know, out of context, and then we'll kind of isolate it, and then we'll put it up as like an audio. If you say moist.
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 See, this could be like dark ASMR.
Moist.
Oh, you haven't got a fart brewing, have you?
Sadly, no.
Oh,
sadly, no. I wish it would be a moist one though, just for the extra special.
Nice big wet one. What are the other words that people hate that we could say?
Panties.
Panties.
Ew. That now I get it. So my husband used to do this thing. So I don't know how it started, but he's been doing it like on and off for like 15 years, where here's where the genesis of this comes from. So
is it safe for children?
Yeah, sure. So is anything we say safe for children? So my friend and I would do this thing in high school where it was like this cheesy movie moment where like you would like bring your hand down someone's face and like chuck their chin and maybe like do that to your nose. So we would do that to each other occasionally. So one day my husband and I were talking about it, and like out of the blue, like watching TV, and I just feel his like fingers down the side of my face. And when I looked at him, he just went, "I like your skin." And I was like, "Whoa." But yeah, no, like occasionally he'll just he does this, and then I can, because like that in and of itself is fine, but then I hear,
yeah,
and then like he does it like, "I like your skin." And it's like, Like, I imagine the next sentence being, I want to wear it.
Yeah.
There's not many things that like skeeve me out, but that and like, yeah, no.
What does skeeve mean? You've used this several times in our conversations.
It's like heebie-jeebies. Like, you know that feeling down your spine that's like, ugh.
Yeah. I get it every time I look at you, but
yeah. Who the fuck does this guy think he is, Gozer? I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. You would spend your last reading and cuddling with your dogs. There's no one you would cats.
Thank you very much.
There's no one you would want to say goodbye to other than GVizzle, you're a cunt.
Yeah.
Fond regards. Good luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah, I mean,
you wouldn't want to even like jot down a note to be like, okay, so to my sister, you can have all my books. To my spouse, delete my internet history. Like, you want to have anything?
I delete my own internet history. It's fine. And like also, I just think if those people mattered, they would have been there over the last 3 years, but they haven't been. So fuck them. And also, I kind of like the enigma and the mystery surrounding me just suddenly not being there. Like, what happened? Where did he go? And
but they would know. But then,
how would they know?
Would it be a mystery or an enigma, or would it be like, motherfucker got the call and didn't tell anybody?
That also makes me happy because that would be so funny.
Funny.
Yeah, like, didn't we matter to him? No, you fucking didn't, because I didn't matter to you.
Wow, you're a son of a bitch. Like, that's cold. Here I am. I would like have a stack of like index cards for everyone I've ever met in my entire life to be like, thanks for giving me the parking space. Like, you just know, fuck them all.
Yeah. But like,
I think maybe when you got the call, it's like there's that old cliche, if you're deciding between two things, flip a coin. Not because the coin is going to decide, but when the coin kind of like is in the air, you know which one you want.
Yeah.
So I think if you got the call at that moment, then you would be like, oh, I should probably reconcile with this person or call this person or like, fuck that guy. Or like, so I think then things would be clear.
You can't cope with what I said, so you're now kind of like hoping that I'm not that much of a cunt.
I'm hoping you're not. But it's fine if you are. I have low expectations.
Of me personally?
Of everyone. Set them low. No one disappoints you. No, that's not true. Yeah, I would have some stuff. I would have things that I would want to like make sure certain people get. I would spend 10 minutes making a last will and testament.
I think a lot of my stuff though would be prepared already. Like if this already existed, I would already know what I would want to go where.
So you would be proactive.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, that makes sense. In your 30s and my 40s, that makes sense because at our ages, we know that time is not infinite.
It's definitely not in our favor anymore.
No, definitely not. The two kids in this book are 18.
Yeah.
So like they're at that age where they think they're invincible.
Yeah.
And then they get the call.
I mean, it's a bit shit for the kids that like they get the call between midnight and 3, because if I was 18, I'd want to go out and party. But like, you know, if you get called at 3 a.m, the night's over. And you just want to go out, party, do drugs, get laid.
You got to wait until the next night.
Yeah. And then you're not going to have any time, are you?
Well, no, because you don't know. You don't know if you, that's right. You don't know if you have 10 minutes or 10 hours or 15,
it's a bit of a cunty thing to do. Is like if you're young and then they're calling you in the best part of the night, between midnight and 3 is when all the hookups happening. People are getting drunk, they're starting to do their drugs. And
I mean, hopefully hopefully they call you early enough, like closer to midnight, so that you're still. I wonder how they make the calls. Like maybe that comes up later in the book, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if it happens like chronologically, like they call the people who are going to go first at midnight, or is it alphabetical? That seems inefficient. Like, I think you probably want to do it, like triage it, like the people who are going to go first get the first call.
I don't know though, because if they can't predict how you're going to die, they're not going to be able to predict the exact time. They just know.
We don't know that.
I don't know. I know, but just thinking about analytics though, I just, it seems more feasible to me that they just know that, like, you've been living your life like this. So at the macro level, people like you will die after doing these bunch of things, but we don't know exactly what time it will be.
But not necessarily, because like, so when Rufus gets his call and he is talking to the call center agent's like, listen, I just got off the phone with a woman who was like crying because she's not going to get to be a mother because her 4-year-old is dying today. So it's not like that 4-year-old has a certain lifestyle. She's not like, you know, smacking her veins and like sucking cock in a alley. Like, so it's any age. And like Rufus lost his parents and his sister in a car accident. He survived that. So you don't know if it's lifestyle related. So in my vision of it, it's almost like, I don't know how it gets predicted, but I feel like it would, the names would be spit out in the order in which they would go. So in my head, again, I could correct this when I get deeper into the book. In my head, the later you get the call, the more hours you would presumably have.
Okay. But this is my second of my questions then. Is, do you reckon that there might be somebody offing all these people to keep the population down, and that's how they know when you're going to die?
How? It's worldwide. Like, you'd have to have a massive team of assassins to make this happen.
Don't you believe in the Illuminati? Haven't you ever gone to InfoWars?
So anyway, so some people,
the truth is out there. Some
people die of natural causes, some are accidents, some people have tried to.
They make it look like. Huh?
You may be on something, because I remember there was a piece of like 2 sentences where they said I think it was like the former president he got the call and he wanted to try to like trick the system. So he hid in a bunker, but then he was assassinated by one of the Secret Service agents. So, but that could lead the question of, was the Secret Service agent an employee of Deathcast, or was he going to assassinate him all along? We don't know.
It is quite funny though, because in one of the Terry Pratchett Discworld novels, there's this whole part in the lore about how wizards know the day they'll die, and then there was a wizard that was trying to dupe Death so that he wouldn't get killed, and so he hid in a trunk in his room and locked, and it was locked from the outside or something, or inside. Anyway, he couldn't get out, and it was airtight, and that's how he died.
Of course it was. How did he not? He didn't just burrow a hole in a thing.
He thought it would protect him from death, but you know,
to be in a box with no air holes.
Yeah, and it wasn't even luggage, so
that's. I don't know what to say to that.
See, you could have all the education in the world, you could still be a fucking idiot.
It's true.
And look at me.
Penis fish.
Exactly.
So you would spend it with books and cats. But you would prepare. You would know, because in this world, it's been 7 years since Deathcast became a thing. So presumably there'd be a lot of people, or there would be other, I mean, the app that connects people obviously came after that, but then there would likely be other types of services like that Deadman Switch, which is a real thing, not a fictional thing in the book, but there would be a lot of other services that could make the transition a little bit easier.
Yeah. I'm actually tempted to use Deadman Switch now, just to fuck with people's heads and just not log in when I'm supposed to log in, and just have all these emails sent out to people, and then they'll think
I think that would make you, what's the word I'm looking for? A terrible fucking person.
But would it be worth it for the hilarity?
Dearest Martha, if you are receiving this message, I am dead.
Yeah, I might just send it to my mother.
I think a lot of people put a little too much stock in family. Like I've seen a lot of I can't remember the situation, but like, oh yeah. So one of the videos that I had made was in response to a comment about like, how do you cut people out of your life? And then one of them was about like, even if it's family, because family is just, they're just kidney donors at the end of the day. And like a few people in the comments were like, yeah, but that's your mom. And like a terrible person is a terrible person. Just because that terrible person happened to give birth to somebody else who is not terrible doesn't entitle you to be part of that person's life. It's like when people make I saw another video once about like how people misinterpret the phrase blood is thicker than water to mean like family bonds. But the whole phrase is like the covenant of the blood. Like what it really boils down to is the family you make for yourself is the family that whether you're blood related is irrelevant. It's the family you choose for yourself, and your friends, the family that you choose for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just because you're a DNA match doesn't mean anything. Yeah,
Exactly. I'm probably adopted or stolen anyway, from all I fucking know.
Stolen. My mom's purse got stolen once in a Walmart. You think that's what happened to you? Like, so I was like, oh.
Yeah, I'll have one of these. She's the sort that would probably do that, though. Yeah, I would definitely. This is why I think it's good to prepare for stuff like that, because you want to use your time wisely. You don't have much time left. And I don't want to be fucking about with admin when I'm about to die. I hate admin anyway.
That's fair. So now, even though Deathcast doesn't exist, but death does, and you don't know, will you take those steps that you mentioned to prepare in the eventuality when it's gonna happen?
Well, my partner knows what I want to do with all my stuff, and like her will's described and everything. I just don't have much physical stuff, so it's
but what if she goes before you do? Then what?
Oh, then
what if you go together? Then what?
Yeah, well, it's written in her will about that sort of stuff, and so like that's all prepared for, and it's just like she'd get my books if I died, and everything else would go to a charity shop or to homeless people or something. Like, you know, and any money or anything would just go to charity. So I don't really care about any of that. So, you know, it's as my life progresses and I get more assets, then I will be allocating that sort of stuff as it happens. But yeah, it's better to be prepared. You don't want to, like, I don't know.
Well, that's why people make wills.
Exactly.
But then, like, wills cover your assets. There's got to be something for the.
Yeah. I'm just not a very sentimental person, I don't think. So I don't have stuff like that. I don't have keepsakes, and because I've moved around so much, and I didn't exactly have the kind of life that would accrue keepsakes before. So
I have a few things that, like, when my grandmother passed away, I got this like clock that she had. So I have her clock. And like when my mom moved to Portugal, she had some stuff from like her grandmother. So I have those things, and like not having children, I wouldn't want those to end up in a charity shop. So I would just need to like make sure that those things would like go to my niece, and then she can do with them what she will.
Yeah. Certainly that stuff you have to prepare for. But like my stuff of that I had, my mum's got it. So that doesn't exist.
There's not much. Like when it comes to the rest of my stuff, there's only a handful of things that I'm precious about, and that's because they came from like my mom and my grandmother, their mothers. But other than that, I don't really care about whatever happens to my other stuff, except for my dogs. They're gonna come with me.
Yeah,
we're all gonna go together.
Oh, you're gonna jump off that bridge together, one under each arm. You know, it should encourage people really to kind of streamline their lives a bit, be a bit more efficient, think about death in a more open way. And then
that's the thing. That's an excellent point, because a lot of people are afraid of death, or afraid of talking about death, and thinking about death, where this forces that on you. Like at any point, you can get the phone call, or someone you're with. Like when Rufus gets the call, he's with a bunch of people, and when the phone starts ringing, they're all like, because they know it's a special ringtone, so everyone knows that's your day. Now. So it forces that conversation, and that forces that reality. Because like when people die, it's still like my grandmother was 97 when she died, and people were like, "Oh," it's like, really? She's nice. Like
That's a good run.
She wasn't Nosferatu, like she had
Yeah.
a limited run. But yeah, and then like my dad he passed away of cancer, and people were still, it's like we had time to come to terms with it.
Yeah.
Because we knew he had been ill, but then still people were like surprised by it. It's like,
could you imagine that actually, thinking of that, the long-term ill patients or the people who are in hospice care or an old people's home, and they get the call and they're like, yeah, no shit.
tell me something I don't know, bitch.
Yeah. You've called me a week ago. Fucking hell.
But I wonder, like, I wonder if there's like a system in place for when that happens. Instead of calling the person, they call like the care facility. So the care facility can be like, Mrs. Jones is going to get it today. Get the room ready. Like,
like the cat in Dr. Sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's interesting. I'm curious to see how it pans out, because the whole book isn't about like the death. It's about these two characters who find themselves at the end of it, blah, blah, blah. But I'm curious to learn more about how it pans out. But when I started it today, and like in the first chapter, Mateo gets his phone call, so you know what's happening. And then the chapters go back and forth between Mateo and Rufus. That like, so in the first chapter, you learn that this is the case, and I was like, it's
quite a cool premise.
It is a very cool premise. It's fascinating.
What's the book called again?
It's called They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Fade to black on that note. Oh, like and subscribe. But it won't matter anyway, because we're all going to die.
Yeah, exactly.